Hello ladies, Sian Burton here. I am your private practice growth and marketing expert, and I'm here this week for our weekly video training to talk to you about the importance of boosting your financial resilience in case we do end up moving into a recession. I know that's like a dirty word at the moment, and I really want to make sure that I provide you with as much information and knowledge as I can to support you to feel comfortable and confident in whatever the future might throw at you. So, excuse me. What I want to talk to you about today is why your financial stability is so important when it comes to any onset of a recession. And I know in Australia, the likelihood of that happening has just been increased. Last week it was spoken about, and I know in the US it is looking 50-50 likely too. If this is something that's really playing on your mind and you're laying in bed at night thinking, oh my goodness, I've got people I'm responsible for, I have a team, what is it going to look like if we go into a recession? How is that going to affect my business? For some of you, this might be the first time you've experienced a recession in your practice. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to be running an extended training that will be 60 minutes long, where we will be looking at how to recession-proof your practice. If you would like information to join us on that, just comment below and we will get you all the details. But today, I just wanted to really touch on this small piece of, which we'll be talking about more tomorrow, but around why securing your cash flow and having financial stability and security is so important. And a couple of things you can do to do that. So the reason, and I know this is potentially obvious, but I still think it's important sometimes to talk through these things because we don't always see what's right under our nose, is that if you are walking a line right now in your practice where you're not able to pay yourself, or you're not able to pay yourself well, or cash flow is consistently tight, any reduction in client numbers is going to have an impact on your financial health in your business. And if you're walking a very tight line as it is, potentially is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. This is not something you want to be trying to solve should we enter into a recession here or in the US. It needs to be something that you solve now so that your financial health in your practice is better going into something like that. The ideal is that you would have a financial cushion, you would have savings in your business, capital to work from, to give you some breathing room should we enter into a recession. And that needs to start today. Like you can't be trying to build savings if that happens, because you will be trying to fix other issues that arise from the situation. So having a positive cash flow, putting money aside so that you have operating expenses in savings, all sound wonderful, I know, but if you're running your business week to week, sound impossible, right? It sounds like a pipe dream. So how can you go about building your cash flow up now, improving your revenue so that you can build a reserve so you have a bigger reserve should the situation arise where we have a recession? So this is really geared towards people who have a team, in that if your team are working at 70-80% utilization of what they could be booked, and then you have cancellations on top of that, meaning that even if those cancellations are only at 10%, a team booked at 80% who experiences 10% cancellations is now booked at 72%. And that is unsustainable from a cash flow point of view, because the 30% that you are losing from your team being full, that's the profit, that's the cash flow positive money, that's your buffer, that's where it's all going. If you're week to week in the finances of your practice, it's because your team are not full. I very rarely meet practice owners where their team are completely full and they're still running week to week from a cash flow point of view. It's when your wages are high and revenue is not high enough that this issue arises. So we are taught as children that 80% is great. If we've scored 80% on a test, that's awesome. In private practice, when it comes to utilization of your team, 80% is not enough. Because if a team member can make $100,000 for you and they're making $80,000 for you a year because they're working at 80%, and you've got 3 of them, that's $60,000 of revenue and in large proportion profit that you are not having come into your business because they are working below their maximum utilization. If you then throw in that they have 10% of cancellations and that drops to $70,000 each, now you're losing $90,000 across the 3 of them, $30,000 of each. For most of the people I work with, $100,000 is a really nice salary to pull from their practice, particularly if you're not pulling one right now. That's where the revenue uptake can come from right now without any more expense in having more team or adding any more pressure to your cash flow, simply by filling your team up to capacity. That will help you build up your cash flow positivity, which then allows you to have a buffer, which then allows you to have the financial security. So really focusing in on marketing your team instead of waiting on word of mouth, so that you're in control of their capacity and their utilization, instead of being at the mercy of whatever referrals come in, is the number one thing to look at. Secondly, looking at cancellations, we want to ensure that they are as low as possible, and 10% below is ideal. If they're anything higher than that, then you are losing even more money each week in spots that were filled and then go empty that you can't fill last minute. So key things around that is ensuring that you have a cancellation policy that is consistently shared with your clients, even if you don't ever charge it. For 90% of people, knowing that they're potentially going to get charged is enough for them to stick to the policy. Making sure that you have reminders in place so that people don't forget. Making sure that your team follow up with anybody who needs to reschedule 48 hours before to ensure that they do reschedule and you do get them back in, so that that isn't a lost client. Key things that you can be working on right now to improve your revenue, improve your cash flow, create a buffer, and give you some breathing room if and when a recession comes, either to the US or Australia or both. So let me know your thoughts on what I've shared here. If you want to learn more around how to recession-proof your practice, including how to streamline operations for effectiveness and profitability, how to market your team to ensure that they are full to the brim, and also looking at how to support and nurture your team in what is a really uncertain time, so that they feel confident and they are able to work at their best, even with all this stuff going on around them, then join me tomorrow at my live workshop, Recession Proof Your Practice. You can comment below on this if you're interested, or pop us an email if you would like the details, and we will get you registered for that. It is at 9 a.m. Sydney time, which is 7 p.m. New York time. So if you're free and you can make it, or even if you're not free and you just want the recording, let us know and we will get that organized for you. Otherwise, I will see you next week for another training, and I will see many of you tomorrow. I think we have nearly 100 people registered. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to seeing you all again soon.